Well said, Ayo. Religion is something that should not be weaponized, especially as we're getting into this very heated period in the lead up to elections where we know that it will be an intense campaign. So religion is not something that should be used as a weapon. Well, it's still campaign season as Iyabo Obasanjo, daughter of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, has returned to active politics after almost 15 years and joined the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, ahead of the 2027 general elections in Ogun State. Iyabo, who represented Ogun Central Senatorial District between 2007 and 2011, participated in the ongoing APC e-registration exercise, effectively sealing her membership of the ruling party. However, she joins a growing list of politicians' offspring who are expressing their interest in elected office. Son to the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike Joaquin Wike, age 25, is said to be positioning himself for the House of Reps seat for Obioakpo constituency, where his father also started his career. Son to the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, Osborne Umahi, age 27, is reported to have picked up his 30 million naira nomination form for the local government chairman position for Ohazora local government in Ebonyi State. Son to Atiku Abubakar, Abba Abubakar, age 47, made headlines when he officially registered as a member of the ruling APC recently, although he's yet to express interest in vying for office. And of course, the first son, Sheyi Tinubu, age 40, who is also the founder and patron of the City Boy movement and is widely tipped to be preparing to run for office in Lagos State.
Mechanized farming, and we will work with professionals to ensure that the agricultural section of the local government is properly equipped and developed.
Today, this journey that we're on, by the grace of God, we are going to go very far. All what the people here, your leaders, have said today is true. And by the grace of God, God will help us to accomplish it.
But they keep coming for me. They keep coming for my family. They keep coming for your father. They keep coming for Ashwaju, Bola, Ahmed, Tinubu, the greatest president in the history of Nigeria. The only president that has carried young people along from when he was governor to when he became president. The only president that considered youth as student loans.
Well, it looks like the next generation of politics is being shaped right before our eyes, Rufai.
Yes, it's the continuation of hegemonic privilege, and it happens in every society. And like you know, these are names of top politicians. One way or the other, they've put in their children. The President Obasanjo, son, by the way, Iyabo Obasanjo Bello served as a senator, you know, at some point. No, that was Iyabo Obasanjo now, because then she was Iyabo Obasanjo Bello, if my memory serves me right.
Senator, yes.
She was a senator then. So the list goes on. I think Ibori's daughter also serves in the House of Reps, El Rufai. The list goes on, you know. And it's not going to end, except the people are determined to have a fair system that works for all. Name politics, even in the biggest economies like America, you have the Kennedys, you have the Bushes and all of that. Name politics gets a big leverage. But when you look at it, in this context in Nigeria, name politics in a country where people are struggling to pay kidnappers for ransom, in a country where 177 people have been kidnapped, nobody has been able to bring them home. We just report all of this. In a country that has largely failed the people. So when you ask them, why are they putting their children in there? It's just because they want their children to control the hegemony. And it's a control. Go back in history since 1960. Some families have started leading the country. They pass it on to other families. Every year, a new family gets into the hegemony. And it's just a matter of time. But all of this is at the expense of the poorest of the poor. So how do we change it? We need to have a balancing. I think somebody wrote a book. I think it's Walter Schneider or Schnedlin. He wrote a book. He called it The Great Leveler. When is Nigerian political structure and societal strata going to have a great leveler. It will be with a people that truly wants their country to change. A people that does not respect the hegemony. A people that does not respect babasokwe-cressy. A people that truly asks for accountability. But the big question is, are the people ready? The big question is, are the institutions ready? No. It's not only in politics. It's been done in judiciary. It's been done in every area of our lives. But except we break this hegemony or we limit it, Nigeria will never move forward. These people will say, because their fathers have served Nigeria, they too must serve Nigeria. So the colonization continues, the internal colonization, and Vimba is never going to stop. So.
Can I just give a quote by activist Aisha Yusuf that I think is very powerful and relevant to this story, which is that we're looking forward to a Nigeria where the son of nobody can become somebody without knowing anybody. We are very far away from that. And there is I want to put education as one of the levelers if I were talking about. Access to quality education by all Nigerians can give people an opportunity to aspire to get to levels that their parents didn't get to. But unfortunately, even at the level of education, there's such a wide divide between the education that is received by the children of these elites and children of ordinary Nigerians, whereby you can't even aspire. What you are thinking about, you're so mindful of how to get your next meal, you cannot even be aspirational. And there's almost a deliberate attempt to keep people shackled on that level, whereby you cannot even attempt to aspire to get to the next level.
Dr. Bati, I don't see it as
together with our next story.
Okay. Dynastic politics, you find it all over the world. Whether it's in Bangladesh, or it's in South Korea, or it is in India, or it's the United States, or Equatorial Guinea, or even Nigeria. What we should emphasize is that if the son or the daughter is competent, what we need in Nigeria are competent people who can provide solutions to the many problems that we have. To talk about circumstances of birth, people don't choose where they came from, but they must be qualified and they must be competent. They will probably even be better persons than their parents, whose examples that they are following. But they must be competent. They should not be just children of privilege to come and inherit a culture of rent collection, feeding fat on the Nigerian state. So when we can see that competence, that will make sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I think where the concern comes is the divide between the haves and the have-nots and those who don't have access to even the funding required to access political office.
It feels good hearing our fantastic journalists reeling out such heartwarming words. Words like the great leveler, competence, being qualified for the job, bridging the divide between the haves and the have-nots. These are some awesomely encouraging, warm, and noble words. But in a system like ours, they are just that, words. Nothing more. On this issue of political dynasty in Nigerian politics, I feel very strongly that Dr. Reuben Abati and Mr. Rufai Hussaini should not be measuring and comparing our systems against that of our peers like Sri Lanka and Equatorial Guinea, or against superior democracies like the USA, on an issue that very clearly signifies a tumbling race to the bottom. We need to not make excuses for high political office holders in Nigeria to perpetuate themselves, including using their children, when we know too well that they can only do so whilst relying 1,000,000% on our collective purse. Rather, I believe that we need to raise the bar of the debate. I believe that we should be looking at the safeguards that other systems have in place, that work, in spite of occasional or enduring political dynasties. That is the gist that should matter here. We are desperately aware that ordinary people in Nigeria know exactly what our own safeguards should be, and they have been asking for it, because they deserve it. Free and fair elections. That is a vital safeguard that we so desperately need. free and fair elections that are enhanced by an instrument like mandatory electronic transmission of results in real time. It would mean that even when visibly old, infirmed, and tired leaders, those politicians that have cornered and amassed obscene wealth from our shared resources, and kept for their children, those politicians who should be retired, or rotting in incarceration, it would mean that when those politicians impose their children on the rest of us, the voters can freely and truly decide if they want such individuals to represent them or not. So, why is our current National Assembly mounting a roadblock and sabotaging the people's wish? Why are they refusing to give us this simple but powerful safeguard? That is the issue that we should be expending majority of our energy and time on right now, to make sure that we get what majority of Nigerians are asking for, what the majority of the Nigerian people actually deserve.
Today we have with us Randy Peters, also known as Peter for Nigeria. Again, we are at the launch of our credibility threshold for the 2027 Nigeria elections. Thank you for being here, Peter.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I'm sure you all know him. He's a very popular face and has been leading the advocacy on fixed INEC and general electoral reforms in our country, Nigeria. So we would like to hear from Peter. What inspired you to go into advocating for electoral reforms?
The basic thing, or the basis of any democracy are free and fair elections. Elections are not just part of a democracy, they are the foundation, because the idea of a democracy is that power comes from the people. And so if you don't lay that foundation, you do not have a point of accountability. So you are basically going around in circles. So in Nigeria, you complain about insecurity, inflation, hunger, and. But then again, the persons who put us in this situation have a way of finding themselves back into power. So what you just do is just renew another 4-year subscription for lamentation, and then another cycle comes, and it's like that, because we have failed to fix that root cause of accountability. So elections do not even provide governments, they give legitimacy to governors, and they give the citizens opportunity to hold their leaders accountable if they fail to deliver for them.
But since you started this advocacy, what are the biggest challenges that you faced in terms of even your engagement with citizens, with authorities, anybody?
Simple. Citizens apathy. Complete disenfranchisement. Nigerians have been so much victims of bad governance that they do not believe good governance is possible. So a good majority of Nigerians, free and fair elections are impossible. So they just tell you outrightly, Peter, you are wasting time. It will not work. They will not permit it. But I now ask, what is your other option? If they do not permit it, that is why you must continue to insist, because as long as they do not permit it, it will not be better with your collective lives. So that is the major challenge. The system has thrown so much frustration that people have little strength to invest in this kind of advocacy.
I agree with you, and like I was saying with the other speaker, it speaks to the kind of civic space we have in Nigeria. You know, people always say, oh, after the 2023 general election, you people are not saying anything. And I'm like, everyone has a right to advocate for change in Nigeria. If civil society organizations are not saying anything, then citizens can speak. And that's why I'm so happy that people like you have decided to go into this sort of advocacy, because it also speaks to the fact that civil society groups have sort of opened a space for citizens to speak to and air their voices, which is a very good thing. But as we head towards 2027, what are the key reforms that you like to see? What are the most critical reforms you would like to see?
In fact, let me even use the opportunity to thank you once again for this very laudable program, setting the tone for 2027. Because if politicians are preparing for 2027, then the citizens in this space with your leadership should also do the same. I think our own demand is simple. We actually went under the body Nigerian Electoral Reform Coalition and we dropped a petition. We want electronic transmission of results to be mandatory. The entire 2022 Electoral Act allowed the entire electoral process to be at the mercy. We are at the mercy of INEC. INEC chooses how to conduct elections, yet the law does not hold INEC to its own standards and guidelines. So it is sort of a confusion. I can set rules. If I don't play by them, there are no consequences for me. So whatever that are the discrepancies or loopholes, whether it is to harmonize the Electoral Act with the INEC guidelines and the Constitution, whatever it is, those loopholes must be looked at.
So the regulatory framework for elections. Yeah.
And then again, we talked about the, independent candidacy, and then the appointment of the INEC chairman. Should it still remain the sole duty of the president, or it should be maybe a recommendation from the NJC or any other, whatever are the means to make sure that there is less human interference and a more transparent process from voter registration to voting to collation and announcement of results.
Yeah, I think these are very key issues you've talked about, because one of the things the credibility threshold document talks about is appointments of officials into INEC, and the fact that they have to be non-partisan, also be people of experience. It talks to the independence of the election management body, which is very, very, very important. So looking forward, one of the things that we're hoping is that more people will come out and vote in 2027, because looking at how elections have gone, we've been on a steady decline when it comes to voter turnout. What do you want to say to Nigerian people about that?
Nigerians must understand the importance of elections. Elections are blood business. In fact, whether you will be alive till 2027 might depend on your decision in 2023. So when they say politics is a game of numbers, it's a game of numbers of people's lives. The quality of life that you have and everything that we do depends on the kind of leadership that we get. And so if you decide to be disenfranchised or detached, it does not insulate you from becoming a victim of a bad system. So we must realize that keeping quiet is not even an option. You must get involved. And in doing that, we must ensure that we make it a priority to lend our voices, put forward our support, talk about them, to ensure that the system is reformed, and then we have the kind of elections for you to get your leaders that you will be proud of, because leaders are a product of the citizens, of the followers. So that is what we must all do. So Nigerians must refuse to be frustrated. The more frustrated you are, the better for the politicians. The more distracted you are, better for them. Let us have a field day. So insist that the quality of your life is better by the kind of leadership that you also chose.
Well, you've heard it from Peter for Nigeria. Nigerians, we need to do more in 2027. So we are urging you all to pay more attention to the electoral process and be prepared to come out to vote in 2027. So thank you very much for being here, and look forward to more of our episodes. Bye for now.